Welcome to the next.
Throughout the season, many drivers dream of victory. For some, it becomes a reality. And others, it's the agony of defeat. Every day is a new day, a new race, a new place. Today, it's a track that has memories like no other. This shrine is a place that gives every driver a reason to hopefully save the season. Bristol, the O'Reilly 200, is next.
Welcome to the world's fastest half-mile, Bristol Motor Speedway. Speed Channel's coverage of the Nascar Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is presented by Craftsman. Beautiful evening in the mountains of Tennessee. 79 degrees, clear overhead, and a great night for racing as the fans have filed into this beautiful facility in Bristol. We take a look at the 4 top 10 point standings through 16 races. Dennis Setzer with a 178-point lead over Ted Musgrave. David Rudiman, the man on the move, moved up another spot into 5th place after his win in Nashville. Let's go down trackside now to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know, when we look in the record book, we see that Roush Racing and Ultra Motorsports are tied for the most team wins in the Craftsman Truck Series with 36 wins apiece. However, when we look back on the last 2 seasons and the first 16 races of 2005, you'll notice that Ultra has a pretty big lead. But whenever we look at 2005, there's a couple of guys to keep your eye on. Roush Racing's last win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series came right here at Thunder Valley. We all know the fans are head over heels for Carl Edwards. The problem is that was also the most recent trip to Victory Lane for Ford. Until now, no manufacturer has ever gone 25 events in between race wins. So the newest question is, which driver will break the drought for the company that sells more pickups than any other? And if you take a look at Roush Racing so far in 2003 and 2004, they had some really good laps led. But when we look at 2005 so far, we haven't seen either the 50 or the 99 up front a whole lot. But I think tonight that very well might change. Todd Cleaver, you got your hands full tonight here at Bristol. I know this is a track that you're really learning a lot about.
Yeah, this is definitely a difficult place, you know, especially coming in as a rookie. You see the guys who are up in the front are all former Nextel Cup guys. So, you know, we're just going to try and have a good night with our World Financial Group Ford F-150 here. You know, I don't want to give away all the points we've been making up the last 5 weeks. And, you know, our time to lead a lot of laps and win a race is coming soon enough. Maybe it'll be tonight. If not, you know, maybe next week. But we're definitely going to, you know, we're on our way there. We're gonna win one of these before the year's over, and maybe we'll start tonight. Who knows?
Okay, good luck. This guy has had a couple of second places already in 2005. Now let's check in with Wendy Venerini.
When you look at the all-time record of different winners in a season, the number is 14, and it was set back in 1998. We are on our way to breaking that record this year with 9 races to go. We've had 11 different winners. Now, one of those guys not on that list yet is Mike Skinner. Mike, you've come so close so many times. You've actually finished 4th 5 times this season. What's it going to take to get a W in your column?
I don't know, Wendy. Nashville was pretty heartbroken over that. We had 12 laps to go, and apparently a truck had an axle come out or something. But our Tundra's really good here again tonight. We qualified good. The thing's driving really good in practice. So just got our fingers crossed. I don't know what I got to do.
Now, Bristol is a tough track. What's going to be the key to staying up front tonight?
I think you got to survive. Your pit crew's got to be good, which we got an awesome pit crew. Got to take care of the tires, but you can't back off too much. You just got to run hard and keep the nose on it, keep the fenders on it.
Good luck tonight. Mike Skinner starts on the front row for the 7th time this season. Bob?
Terry Cook has a handful of wins here in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, but it's been a while since he's been to victory lane, and he would like to change that here tonight. But your track record here at Bristol, Terry, is not so good.
No, it's not. You know, we've only run here about 5 times, maybe 4, I'm not sure what it is, and we always seem to get caught up in a wreck, and this is like a Daytona-style track. Even though it's a short track, you can get caught up in somebody else's wreck without having anything to do with it. So the key tonight for the Ford Power Stroke Diesel by International truck is just to get back to running top 10s like we've been doing. Qualified well tonight. Feel like the lone gunfighter up there with all the Toyotas, but just to have a good solid top 10 to catapult us into Richmond.
And no top 10s for Terry here at Bristol, but he starts 4th here tonight.
And Terry Cook fighting almost solo in the top 10 for Ford, as he is the only Ford in the top 10 in qualifying. So he will try to get Ford that first win tonight at Bristol. We're in Thunder Valley for the 17th race of the season for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And in celebration of the 10th anniversary of the Truck Series, we present the toughest NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series moments, made possible by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR. Moment 9 focuses on winning, and the name Jack Sprague is synonymous with winning. Jack is the only driver to capture 3 series championships with the trucks. In 1997, 99, and again in 2001, Sprague took overall honors in the series that has his name on almost every record in the book. Jack has made it known that a 4th trophy is his goal, and he sets his sights on that. Take a look at Jack's impressive statistics in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. The most starts, 213 in this series, ties him with Rick Crawford. You see his poles, that is a Craftsman Truck Series record of 27, and Ray has caught up with Jack.
Well, thank you, guys. And, you know, his stats here at Bristol are really excellent, too. A win here, lots of top 5s. Is this place rank on the top of your list as favorites?
No, definitely not. We were fortunate enough to win here once and had a great vehicle that day, and I got a great vehicle today. The guys gave me a great Chevy truck Silverado. I've got a shot at it. I think several others do, but the truck's really good on old tires, and we need a break, Ray. We need to stick a good finish and get back where we're supposed to be in the points, and hopefully we'll have a flawless night and we can do that.
Okay, good luck to you, Jack Sprague, in the number 16 truck, guys.
Sprague with a lot of experience in this series, a guy who hasn't had a lot of experience but has had a great last race. That is the 17 of David Rudiman. He described it as perfect. Here comes, and so here we go. Mike Skinner comes to the green flag. We're back underway. David Rudiman, all he has is 3 laps of racing to go to see if he can claim his first ever win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
You know, you think about the people who help get you there. You think about your team.
For the lead, inside of 2 laps to go. David Rudiman got that great run off turn number 2, but Mike Skinner fights back.
Being DW's hometown, home track, grew up there racing there. Toyota sponsoring the race.
It's David Rudiman on the inside, a clear leader now as they come down the tri-oval.
My dad has sacrificed so much for me to race. I was thinking, you know, when we finally do win a race, there's a good chance he won't be there to see it.
The NTN bearings of David Rudiman will see the checkered flag for the first time in his career.
And I stopped in victory lane, pulled the steering wheel off, and he dove in the window with me there and was right there with me. He just basically told me that he knew we could do it, you know, and he was there.
A very long time in David Rudiman's career. DW in victory lane to hand him the coveted guitar.
It was perfect. That's the only thing I can tell you. It was just perfect.
A perfect day in Nashville, and he definitely needs a perfect night in Bristol. It's going to be tough to do. Well, he starts on the pole tonight. David, in practice, your truck was not that great, although you start from the pole. What are you going to do in the race today?
You know, it wasn't too bad in race trim. It's just when we went to qualifying trim, it wasn't the Indian bearings Toyota Tundra was just, we weren't fast, you know. But Jason Overstreet and the guys made some changes, and we laid down a good lap. But now the hard part is trying to stay up front.
All right, David Rudiman graced victory lane last week. We'll see what he can do in Bristol tonight. Bob?
Wendy, we say welcome back to Kyle Busch in the number 15 truck. 2 wins in 3 races this year. Has a lot of people saying, hey, I wish you would stay home. But starting from the 9th spot here tonight, can you win this one?
I definitely think so. You know, the Ditech.com Chevy Silverado was pretty good in practice today. Goes tight a little bit on the long run, but Richie Waters knows some adjustments to make. So we're going to put those in place for tonight and hopefully go after these boys.
Rick, he's looking for the hat trick here in the Craftsman Truck Series.
His 4th start of the season, 2 wins already. We'll see if he's able to get that 3rd win tonight at Bristol. Before we get underway, let's continue with pre-race activities. We'll go back trackside for tonight's Invocation and National Anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand for the presentation of colors by the Sullivan South Air Force Junior ROTC, and for the Invocation by James McNeil, Director of the Well at East Tennessee State University.
Let us pray. Father, we pause in these moments to praise you. Father, we thank you for the incredible provision of this country in which we live. God, we lift our president to you. Ask you to give him wisdom and protection of our fighting men abroad who make gatherings like this possible. God, we pray that this would be a spirited event full of sportsmanship. God, we ask you that as we leave this place, that Father, as we gaze upon you, that our hearts and lives would be fixed upon you as we re-enter the race of life. In Christ's name I pray, amen.
And please remain standing for our national anthem by the ETSU Pride Singers.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Another great crowd on hand at Bristol Motor Speedway to watch the Craftsman Truck Series put on one of the best shows in NASCAR. The crews are ready. The drivers, I'm sure, are ready. They are all looking to chase Dennis Setzer. He is our points leader. David Rudeman moved into the top 5 last week with his win at Nashville. Ron Hornaday looking to win his 3rd Craftsman Truck Series championship. Bobby Hamilton would like to make it 2. Ted Musgrave would like to win his 1st ever championship. But they are all chasing the man on top, Dennis Setzer. We'll see if they can catch him tonight in Bristol. Welcome to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series O'Reilly 200 presented by Valvoline Max Life on Speed Channel. Bristol Motor Speedway, one of the toughest tracks of all of the tracks that the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series comes to, and we visit it for race 17 for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Hello everyone, I'm Rick Allen alongside of Phil Parsons and Michael Waltrip. Now Phil, if history repeats itself, Dennis Setzer could be crowned our champion right now, because in the past 10 years, every series champion has been leading with 9 races to go. Can he continue history?
Well, he can, but the problem with this racetrack, it's so difficult to get through a race here without being caught up in somebody else's trouble. We heard Terry Cook say a few moments ago, it's like Daytona. You can be caught up in somebody else's trouble. He lost almost 50 points at Nashville, our last race, and that was because he had just a so-so effort. If he gets caught up fairly early with somebody's problem, he could lose 100 points here, and then we've got a dogfight.
Well, and not only is Dennis Setzer worried about not getting into trouble, but he's also got to worry about the guys who are trying to win here. Michael, both you and Phil have won here. What's it take to win at Bristol?
Well, Rick, I think about 3 numbers, 3, 2, and 10. There's 3 keys to winning. 2 is the fact that 2 of the keys to winning is having a fast truck and being able to stay out of trouble. But then the 10 number that I talk about is you multiply everything at Bristol by 10. I mean, it happens that fast. It's so crazy when you go out on this racetrack to try to complete a lap by yourself. It's intense to run around here by yourself. Now you got all these cars and trucks and vehicles racing every which way, and you don't know what's next. You don't know what's around the next turn. So you got to survive, first of all, but you have to have a fast truck, and that's how you survive. You take that fast truck and you keep it out of trouble, use track position, multiply it by 10, and then pray a lot.
Well, can I put you on the spot? Who do you think has the best chance of winning at Bristol tonight?
Well, I like Kyle Busch. You know, he was tough at Dover on the concrete, and now he's here. He's proven that he's fast. He's proven he's patient, knows what he's doing, so I like that cat.
Phil, what do you think?
Quick Jack Sprague, 16 truck.
Well, that's
there you have it.
Well, let's get it underway. Let's go down for the
And now
command.
for the words we've
down
all been
trackside.
waiting for, O'Reilly 200 Grand Marshal Darrell Haney.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engine.
Engines are fired, a lot of horsepower here in Thunder Valley at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Again, one of the toughest places to race. And we do it at race 17 for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Take a look at this extremely difficult, just over half mile we call Bristol Motor Speedway.
The reason it's so difficult is it's so fast. I mean, you run super speedway type speeds here on this little half-mile racetrack. The straightaways, you can see them there, they're 630 feet long, but you probably run 150 miles an hour.
And Phil, during the course of the race, you'll let off just past the flag stand. That's important. You can't overcharge the corner because then the truck's front end won't stick. So you let off early, you roll into the turn, but then you get in the gas way early in the turn as well.
This is about as much fun as you can have driving a race car right here.
Well, the trucks roll out onto the track. Let's take a look at the starting grid. David Rudeman claims another pole for Darrell Waltrip Motorsports. Mike Skinner on his outside.
And you see here, Rick, there's 4 Toyotas in the top 5 spots. But let me just tell you something. Manufacturer means nothing here. We were at a short track a couple weeks ago, IRP, no Toyotas anywhere near the front. So, you know, this is a racetrack. You race your truck, you don't care what it's branded.
Well, you say manufacturers don't mean anything here, but we're going to go a long ways before we see a Dodge. Dodge is not in the top 18 in the starting grid.
It's not applicable. You can't apply the manufacturer as your excuse for not running well here at Bristol. You're going to see Dodges run at the front before the night's over. You'll see Chevys, Toyotas. Everything will make their way to the front because of the way the track.
There's a couple Dodges right there, row 11, Steve Park and Ted Musgrave. Those trucks were very good in practice, along with Jimmy Spencer and Bobby Hamilton. We've got some great Dodges in this field that are going to be up front.
And you may have noticed that name that flashed across there, starting 25th, Mike Bliss, former champion in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, also involved in this race. 42 trucks tried to qualify for the NCTS 200. And 6 of them will have to go home as we only have a field of 36. We'll ride along with a few different trucks. First being at Jimmy Spencer. He'll start in the 18th position, and we'll ride along with that Team ASC Dodge.
David Starr is going to start 13th in his Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet. He got his first top 5 ever on a short track earlier this year.
The cat leading the points, Dennis Setzer, always tough on a short track field. We were going to ride along with him and see how he does things, but let me remind you, this isn't your typical short track, so anybody can win at Bristol.
On the inside of Dennis Setzer, we saw a glimpse of that federated Chevrolet. Ken Schrader, our track record holder, will start on the inside in position 7.
Brandon Witt starts inside row number 3, the 5th position. What a terrific win he had earlier this year, just a few races ago. Really turned his season around.
Well, the Craftsman win for the pole award. By winning tonight's race from the pole position, David Rudeman can win $6,000 for his team. If he doesn't win from the pole tonight, then another $2,000 again added to the prize money. Now $10,000 was won by Musgrave at Gateway. $18,000 was won by Witt at Memphis. And so they are giving away a lot of money this year. $50,000 is available. Let's go down for final thoughts before this one starts with Wendy Venerini.
Dennis Setzer has raced here 3 times. He finished 5th in his first 2 visits and 16th last year. Dennis admitted he was a little bit too aggressive last year, what caused him to finish 16th. And being our points leader, he knows it's going to take patience to pay off tonight, and he's definitely thinking big picture. He's going to stay out of trouble as much as possible. Ray?
Wendy, when it comes to Bristol, there's one word, and it's right here. Check it out. It's killer. This track has been awful for this team. As a matter of fact, in 10 races, they've only had one top 10. But if I got to pick a guy that I want to drive for me tonight here at Bristol, it'd be Jimmy Spencer. I'm going to keep my eye on the 2 truck. Bob?
Ray, this is one of the most unique pit roads in all of motorsports. Behind me is the backstretch pit. That's where a lot of guys are pitted. The other guys will have to go all the way around turns 1 and 2, turns 3 and 4, and then go over to the front stretch. But one of the most coveted pit stalls here today is owned by Mike Skinner. A lot of Cup winners have come from that pit stall.
Well, if I were to ask you gentlemen up here in the booth, who has the most experience, meaning the most starts at this racetrack, who would you say?
Ted Musgrave.
Okay, I'll say in all 3 series.
I think it's got to be Kenny Schrader, possibly.
Kenny Schrader would be very high up there, but Ray just mentioned a guy named Jimmy Spencer. 48 starts for Jimmy Spencer around this short half mile.
And you know, the guys on pit road thought Spencer had a real chance at winning tonight. I'll tell you who else thinks that. Jimmy Spencer. He comes to Bristol and he gets excited and he goes to town.
And he's won here in a Busch car and finished second in the Nextel Cup car here, so he knows his way around this racetrack.
This is the first time Jimmy Spencer will make a start in a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series truck, and so we'll see if he is able to grab a victory at Bristol in a truck. The green flag flies. We're underway with the O'Reilly 200.
By Skinner, stayed on the outside of Rudeman, pinched him down. It looks like he might lead the first lap.
Rudeman tries to look back to the inside, can't quite get it done. A lot of the drivers were talking about this racetrack possibly being slick because we just had a Hooters Pro Cup race here on a little bit different tire than these fellows are on. These are on Goodyear radial tires, a little bit different rubber. They worried about this racetrack being a little slick to start with.
And we saw Skinner pace the practices. I mean, he was real fast all day long today, so really not a big surprise that he's jetted out to that lead that he has right now. It'll be interesting to see if Rudeman can recover from getting yarded on the start and then start to put some space on Chad Chaffin and get after Skinner here in a lap or 2.
Great qualifying effort by Chad Chaffin. We didn't mention that his best qualifying effort in that number 60 Weiler Toyota.
Rudeman looking as though almost holding up the crowd back here behind him as we see a big gap between Mike Skinner and David Rudeman, and then everyone nose to tail right after David.
That's when you see people get impatient. When you've got a big gap in front of you, you know that somebody's going to maybe use that bumper to let you know that you're holding them up. They want to go.
And that's exactly one of my keys to winning, Phil, having a fast truck. If your truck is slow, you'll get in trouble because you'll stack guys up behind you. Somebody will get tired of waiting on you and finally give you a bump, and into the wall you go.
David Rudeman may realize that Chad Chaffin is faster than him right now, but he doesn't want to let that happen. He doesn't want to let Chad Chaffin get to his inside because the trucks are stacked up all the rest of the way around this racetrack. He does not want to get up on the outside and let the train go by.
And Chad is eating on the left rear quarter panel of that NTN Bearings Toyota, and eventually that'll spell bad news for Rudeman. You know, Chad hadn't had that great of a year. He's with a new team. He wants to show those guys he knows what he's doing. He's not going to be overly patient, even though we're only 7 laps into the race, Phil.
Great move by Todd Cleaver to get on the inside of Bill Luster. Going to bring, now this is a situation, Bill Luster is hung on the outside. There's going to be several trucks get by him probably before he's able to get back down.
Oh, problems with the 07. And he gets spun around. Chris Wimmer in that 07 this week. Bringing out our first caution of the night. Getting into the inside wall. This is one of those tracks they call self-cleaning. The banking will send you to the inside of the track.
Even on the straightaways. That's the hard part about this racetrack. The straightaways are relatively narrow and they're banked.
Well, we'll clear this little episode up when we come back from break. That's Chris Wimmer bringing out our first caution. Mike Skinner's led every lap so far at Bristol.
The blonde hair and some cigarettes. Rocket fuel.
Tomorrow night at 7 on Speed, catch NASCAR Nation. Go off track, in depth, and into the lives of NASCAR superstars. NASCAR Nation, life beyond the fast lane. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Speed. Chris Wimmer in that 07 getting towed off the track. This is what took place.
Watch at the very back of this pack right here, all by himself, following the 31 of Nick Tucker, lost the back end, unfortunately made some pretty hard contact with the inside wall.
You hate to spin out by yourself at Bristol, Rick, because so many people have a chance to spin you out during the course of the night. You'd like it to be somebody else's fault when you go down, so I know he's a little bit disappointed about that.
Nobody to yell at. So the pace truck continues to lead the field around, letting them know one more time. And Ray, what's happening with David?
Well, he's real tight on entry, guys, and he's got to get out of the gas just a little bit earlier. He's afraid he's going to get the thing loose. Because it's tight, he's letting off the gas early, and that's part of the problem why he has not been able to get up there and run with Skinner. Wendy?
Mike Skinner has been free up a little in the corner, but he's been good on the gas. Jeff Hensley, his crew chief, says if we have to, we'll go down on the track bar when we come in.
Skinner opened up about a 3-second lead on David Ruderman prior to that caution flag. What a terrific pace. Right now, his fastest lap is a full 3.5 tenths faster than anybody else's fastest lap in the field.
And the reason for that is because he was out there in clean air driving away, and Ruderman had pretty much everybody else stacked up. So 3.5 tenths is huge in a place like Bristol. Bill, that's the difference between sitting on the pole and qualifying about 25th.
Exactly. There was only about 0.5 tenths of a second between first and 33rd qualifying.
Ruderman needed that caution, Rick. He needed a chance to be able to say, all right, my truck's not exactly how I want it. Let me think about what I might be able to do to drive it differently. Let me have a little bit of a break here to figure out what I'm going to do to break away from Chad Chaffin. Maybe put some distance on the field so I don't have to worry about getting spun out.
Well, that caution comes out. He doesn't come in. No one comes in to do anything with their trucks. And it looks as though Mike Skinner is going to again put David Ruderman a long ways back.
Ruderman was able to run his fastest lap of the race the last time by, so the break indeed was good for David. He was able to think about what his truck was doing and figure out a way to run a little bit faster, but darn, Chad is gonna, look at there, that's what you get right there. That was a textbook move at Bristol by Chad Chaffin. He nudged Ruderman and got by him, and now look at what David's faced with.
He wants to get back in line. I thought he might be able to get back in behind Johnny Benson. He's not going to be able to do it, but he will be able to get back in line. But Kyle Busch is not going to follow him either.
Ugh, golly, he's in a tough spot right now. Schrader's on the inside of Setzer behind Ruderman there. We got a spin on the backstretch. Johnny Benson's in the middle of it, but I don't know if he went around or not.
Brendan Gaughan having severe damage to that Jasper Dodge. And not looking good for Brendan Gaughan, but this is a track where you can pound the sheet metal back down, get back out onto the track. You don't need all your fenders or hoods, whatever. You've just got to be able to run. And so right now, Brendan Gaughan's going to have to do some work to that Jasper 77. We'll be back and clear up this second caution that's taken place at Bristol after these messages. Welcome back to the NCTS 200 at Bristol on Speed Channel. A great crowd on hand, a beautiful night for racing under the lights.
Watch the 22 of Bill Lester. He gets passed by the 88 Matt Crafton. He tries to duck back in. Unfortunately, Chase Montgomery had already stuck his nose up there. They make some contact. And Michael, there's the aftermath. The 4th and 5th trucks back are really the victims.
You know, poor Brendan didn't do anything wrong. He just was slowing down for a crash, but it's so tight down in the corners, Phil. You can't see up on the straightaway. You don't know what's going on up there. So Brendan lets off. The guy behind him doesn't. 3 or 4 trucks back, there's always going to be a chain reaction crash, it seems.
And the 4th truck back was that 77 Jasper Dodge of Brendan Gaughan. His team continuing to work on that. You hear Tony Liberati, Rambo putting some work into that. We'll be back with more from Bristol for this. Randy Kaiser in that pace truck about to duck off of the track. Let Mike Skinner take over the top spot. He hasn't relinquished it yet. We're 24 laps into this race. This will be lap 25. When the green flag flies, we're back to racing.
Now, this is the first time that Chad Chaffin will restart behind Mike Skinner. We saw the 17 of David Ruderman hold the rest of the field up. We'll see what Chad can do with Mike Skinner. Not much so far.
No, and do you think tonight Skinner wins a race? I mean, he is good at a place like this. He's obviously got a really fast truck, so it'll be interesting to see how his night unfolds. Let's call him the early favorite. You want to?
Well, this is one of the tracks that Mike Skinner was very dominant in 95 and 96, but this is a track he did not find victory lane at, so maybe he'll get it in 2005.
15 is Kyle Busch all over the back of David Ruderman. We see a gap again forming in front of David Ruderman. Kyle's going to want to get by him. See, peeks to the inside. Wow. This one,
look at all that
on board. Look at all this gaggle of trucks here. There's the 4 of Timothy Peters. We're on board with Jimmy Spencer, the Team ASE Dodge.
Mr. Excitement knows how to get around this racetrack.
Yeah, and you know what he does? He demands respect. He will race you as hard as you want to race right here at Bristol. He's in his element. This is where Jimmy Spencer feels most comfortable.
And we're talking about Bristol Motor Speedway, right?
Hey guys, a lot of the drivers thought that this racetrack would change after 15 to 20 laps. They knew that there was different rubber down on the track because of the Hooters Pro Cup Series. But what I'm hearing on the radio is just about every driver saying that the track is very, very slick. And it's kind of tricking them into thinking that their truck is loose a little bit. But they believe that with enough Goodyear rubber down on this racetrack, it will get better. But so far, a lot of guys saying it's pretty slick out there.
Phil, I tested up here last week, and it was really hot, but I've never found this place any slicker than it was last week when I tested. So I know what these guys are going through right now, and pretty much it becomes relative. You know, my truck's loose, your truck's loose, whose is not the, you know, who can stick the best. And I think these guys are dealing with some tough conditions here at Bristol.
I think they really are. Now, Mike Skinner had about the fastest lap that time, and it's almost 0.8 of a second slower than the pole. So, you know, they've already slowed down close to a second from what they were able to run in qualifying trim.
And what happens a lot of time at Bristol here, you'll see guys stay out on tires and just keep running solid laps all night long. I don't think that's going to be the case tonight, so this will bring an interesting twist into the plot this evening, and that'll be pit strategy. What are we going to do? Times are falling off. The track is slick. How are we going to take advantage of that?
Well, that's why David Ruderman hasn't pitted yet, because he wants to maintain some track position. If he pits like we were talking a few moments ago and gives up all his track position, doesn't fix his truck, well, he's going to find himself a lap because Mike Skinner's riding around here with a clean racetrack.
Well, I've kind of stumbled out of the gate tonight. I'm a little bit rusty around the edges on the broadcast, but my 3 keys to winning were the fact that you got to have a fast truck, and the only way to maintain track position is to have a fast truck. And so we're seeing Ruderman struggle with that right now. The hottest guy on the circuit right now is in a bit of a problem, has a bit of a problem.
He gets to the outside of Ken Schrader. Schrader's going to go by, as does the 75 Spears Manufacturing of David Starr, and about 5 other trucks getting by David Ruderman as he tries to fall back in line.
Does he have a flat?
Ray, what's going on?
Well, he's not sure if it's a flat, but he says that it was just tied in, but now he needs to turn better all the way around the racetrack. He says he just doesn't feel good in any of the corners. Ruderman's slowing down. Looks like he's coming to pit road.
Yeah, he definitely has a problem, and he's coming to pit road. And Phil, that move right there, as simple as it looked, he came to pit road off turn 4, just like he was supposed to do.
Can't steer it at all.
You're hearing David saying, I can't steer it. I can't steer it at all.
I don't see a flat right front, and that's what that would be. That's what that would lend you to believe is going wrong. So we'll have to figure it out. Ray, do you see a problem?
No, I don't yet, Michael, but you got to wonder if there's something wrong with the steering linkage. Maybe something bent underneath there. That's where they're looking right now, is at the linkage, or to see if one of the track bar adjusters has come loose there. They'll take a look at it. They're going underneath with a flashlight to see if they can see anything disconnected on the front of this NTN Bearings Toyota.
Caution is going to fly as the 08 of Bill Manful gets spun around on the backstretch. So the 3rd caution of the night will trap the 17 NTN Bearings of David Ruderman on pit road, and that cannot help.
No, he's several laps down now, and they've got a real problem. Why couldn't you turn the truck if the tire wasn't flat? There's something going on under the hood, obviously. That's where they're looking, but that's a mystery to me what that could be right now, Phil.
Bill Manful gets spun around going down the back stretch. We'll take a look at that.
Little contact from the 75 of David Starr, it looked like.
Look at there. You don't spin out of Bristol very often and not hit anything. He pulled that one off. The NTN.
Friday on Speed Channel, your NASCAR weekend begins at Bristol. At 2:30, the Cup teams work furiously to make last-minute adjustments before the big race Saturday night. NASCAR Nextel Cup final practice. Then the Busch cars take over the short track with push pole qualifying. Your NASCAR weekend starts with Nextel Cup final practice Friday at 2:30 only on Speed Channel. We're under caution number 3 as we have been under caution. The 17 has continued to do work on that NTN Bearings Toyota, but it was Bill Manful bringing out the 3rd caution in that 08.
Now that's just lucky, Phil.
Very lucky, very lucky. Watch this now. Watch David Starr. They actually made some contact with the 52 of Ken Schrader. The 08 came up the hill into the 52, and then the 75 of David Starr bumped into him. I saw them with a power steering pump laying on the front of that truck, so undoubtedly his power steering went out, and they're going to change the power steering pump.
I don't think it matters how big your arms are at Bristol. If your power steering goes out, you're not going to be able to steer that thing in the corner for long.
Back underway with racing. Mike Skinner holding on to the top spot. He's been out there all race so far as we're on our 47th lap.
See Terry Cook, the 10 Power Stroke Diesel 4, trying to negotiate around the lap truck of Chase Montgomery, the 18. Johnny Benson's got a great run going so far. He's right behind the 10 of Terry Cook.
And another cool thing I'm seeing, Phil, is the 12 truck of Mike Wallace, Darrell's other truck. He's fast tonight. We haven't seen that truck drive to the front and be the star of a show this year. Looks like Mike's got the intentions of doing that tonight. He's down on the inside of Brandon Witt. Couldn't make the pass, but he's got a fast truck.
Mike does a great job at this racetrack. He finished 10th. The top 10 of the Nextel Cup race early this spring in the 4-car.
Right along with Brandon Witt.
I think everyone respects Mike's ability. He will race the heck out of a racing vehicle, and I think tonight guys like Mike Wallace and Mike Skinner and along with Ted Musgrave, these guys that have been here a lot, Jimmy Spencer, they'll come to the top before the night's over.
Johnny Benson will be another guy that I think we'll see towards the top of this running order at the end of the race.
Jack Sprague holding on to the 3rd spot. He's visited victory lane here before. Terry Cook, the top Ford so far. He would love to get Ford its first win in 2005 and almost get sideways as Johnny Benson gets by him.
Looked like Johnny helped him get sideways a little bit there. Terry was holding him up. We saw that gap. We talk about that gap. People are not patient enough when we see a gap in front of me, because you have to go here.
It sure is easy to figure you just bumped him. I just barely touched him and he crashes. And that's what every lap you have a chance just to barely bump someone if that's what you choose to do. So you really have to be patient here at Bristol, but sometimes patience will get you lapped.
38 of Brandon Witt. He continues to be passed by some lead lap trucks. There's the 13 of Tracy Hines. Here comes Steve Park, the 62 truck. Brandon trying to get to the bottom of the racetrack, just can't quite do it.
Now, can you imagine how tough it is to be patient if you're Brandon right now? Just letting truck after truck after truck go by. Wendy, what's he saying about the truck? Is it not handling right?
His truck is handling pretty good for Brandon Witt, and he does have to be patient. He actually learned a lot about patience earlier today. He hit the turn 4 wall in happy hour and had a little bit of right rear damage on his machine. He has some good experience on his pit box. Jamie Jones, his crew chief, has just been telling him to reel him back in one by one and be nice and smooth.
Well, he was patient a couple weeks back when he got his first ever win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and that patience paid off as he was able to hold on to second just up to the point where Ron Hornaday slowed down enough and he decided, well, I've been patient long enough, I'm going to go on by.
Well, that was a situation where Ron Hornaday jumped out of the throttle and then Brandon Witt hit him. That wasn't a situation where Brandon decided just to knock Ron out of the way. There had a spin earlier. There was a lot of smoke on the racetrack. Ron Hornaday was not aware of it, slowed down. Brandon made some contact, turned Ron around, and Brandon went on to win that race. Big win, number 1.
Schrader's competitive tonight. You know, we've seen him qualify well, but he's never been able to take that truck and run to the front with it. Looks like tonight he might have a horse under him somewhere, something he can go to the front in.
Sat on the pole here last year, finished in the top 10, finished 10th. Right now he's got a good run going. He just moved up into the 8th position.
Ken Schrader, our track record holder, actually, with that pole he won a year ago, set the track record at 126.922 miles an hour. Just over 15 seconds around this half mile.
Well, let me just give you a little heads up, Rick. Action's fixing to pick up at the front of the pack. Mike Skinner, Chad Chaffin, and Jack Sprague have been able to keep pace with Skinner, and they have caught the back of the field. So they're getting ready to try to start lapping trucks, and that's when the whole patience deal goes out the window.
If you look back at that Federated Auto Parts number 52 of Ken Schrader. Wendy, what's going on with Ken?
Bill mentioned how Ken Schrader sat on the pole last year. His power steering went out last year, and he came back to finish 10th. When I talked to his crew chief, Donnie Richardson, he said we brought the same exact truck from last year with almost the same exact setup. And I said, are you expecting a top 10 finish? He said, we expect way better than that. Ken Schrader has been moving up all night long.
That's good positive thinking for Ken Schrader. Now, he has won in this series back in 1995, so it's been quite some time since he's visited victory lane, but I'm sure he would know what to do once he got into victory lane. We see Mike Skinner catching up to the slower lap traffic now, and that has been able to close the gap for Chad Chaffin as he's pulled right up to the bumper of Mike Skinner. We'll be back with more racing, the world's fastest half mile. Mike Skinner's in front. Just finishing up service on the number 5 of Mike Skinner as the 4th caution of the night has come out. Our leaders came down pit road to have work done on them. We see Kyle Busch also getting work done. Crawford coming in as well, and that's number 14. We're going to see predominantly every truck come down pit road with the exception of some that have been on pit road already tonight.
The 60 of Chad Chaffin decided to stay out. Ray?
Well, guys, Hornaday is in. He is really loose off of turn number 4. He says it's not so bad on the other end, but pretty bad down here. So they made a big air pressure adjustment on that good wrench Chevy.
We saw Kyle Busch on the outside of him as they work their way off of pit road. Again, don't want to get caught for speeding off pit road when you pit under caution, so you don't want to cause yourself to have to come back down again. Look at how tight it is.
Take a look at this coming off pit road. You watch the 15 of Kyle Busch. Can't quite get by the 14. He has to back up. He's going to lose a number of positions because of that. See the 6 of Ron Hornaday is going to race him off pit road.
Man, I enjoy watching the race from up here just to see what happens on pit road. The pit road timing lines, if you exceed the pit road speed, you'll get busted. It's electronic, and it looked like some guys were just going faster than others. It's interesting to see who's got what pit road speed. How do they know how fast to go?
And we're taking a look at the number 8 of Deborah Renshaw. This is the reason for caution number 4. We'll isolate her as she gets into the turn and has a little help there from Ricky Craven, it looks like, to get spun around.
Well, Ricky was right on the bottom of the racetrack, and plus he crowded him a little bit.
Yeah, he was up to her door, and she's a lap down, so you're not going to put up with much of that stuff. And Ricky trying his best to stay off of her. That you have to, if you're going to assess blame, you're going to have to blame that one on her. At Bristol, sometimes it's not fair to assess blame because of what we talked about earlier. It's just so intense, such action. Watch what the leader sees. Everybody stacks up in front of him. He chills out.
That was a big break. You see the blue truck just to the left of your screen. That's Bobby Hamilton, our defending champion of the series, and he was just before getting lapped.
Now, Phil, I was telling you about pit road speeds, and I watched the 12 truck pass people, and I thought, either he's really going too fast or everybody else is going too slow. Looks like he got summons to the back of the field for speeding on pit road. So from our view, you can really tell the difference in speeds, and Mike was going too fast.
Well, Mike, we take a look at his truck now. The truck that was right behind him stayed out. The 60 of Chad Chaffin remained on the track, and Mike Skinner came in. Wendy, what did he do?
Mike Skinner came up. He came in. He was a little free up, so they went down on the track bar to tighten him, and a little air pressure adjustment. You'll remember last year Mike Skinner waited to lap 120 to pit, and he knew that was a mistake. So they came in on lap 69, which put them on their window, and Mike Skinner came out third. Bob?
Jack Sprague looking pretty good so far. He's been talking about being patiently aggressive. They were a little bit tight, so they took a pound down on the left-hand side. But Michael, I got a question for you. Jack said he's a snort too tight. What is a snort?
It's like a smidgen or a
skosh.
Yeah, a skosh or just
somewhere
a dash.
Somewhere in that family.
Yeah, it's just a race car driver trying to explain his thoughts and his feelings.
All types of communication going on. The green flag means go, and so Chad Chaffin now out in front of this field.
I think quite possibly the 30 of Ty Bodine also stayed on this caution flag because he was then back on lap number 43, so they only ran about 27 laps before that caution flag came out. So I think he is another one of the trucks that stayed out.
Now, can Mike Skinner finish this race without having to stop again?
I think everybody that pitted on this most recent caution flag will probably be in their window to make it on fuel. Now, whether or not they want to stay out on these tires or not, the rest of the race remains to be seen.
And I think that question might get answered right now. Let's see how the first 2 trucks, the 60 of Chaff and the 30 of Bodine, can stack up against the new tires that Skinner has. Right now, they're both holding them off. Chad has about a half truck length lead against Todd, and Mike's right on him, but so far so good for the 2 guys that stayed out.
Bob, what's going on?
Well, the 30 of Todd Bodine knows he has to stop one more time, but he's already been on pit road 3 times during this race. He started way back in the 30s, but he's been itching his way forward as Mike Skinner goes to the bottom. He is still just a little bit too tight, guys.
We're seeing 2 wide racing all around this track. We see it single file now behind Chad Chaff and Mike Skinner setting his sights on him. Mike Skinner only relinquished the top spot after leading 69 laps when he came down to pit. Chad Chaffin stayed out. Now Chaffin has been out on the track in front, coming on 10 laps.
Mike Skinner is obviously faster there. He works his way to the inside to drive by the 60 of Chad Chaffin. He ran a 1/4 second faster that last lap than did Chad Chaffin.
He's fixing to drive off from him again, Phil. We got to spin right in the middle of a gaggle of trucks. They're going every which way.
Stacking up this short half mile. Ricky Craven getting almost into the wall. Looks like a little bit of damage to that right front.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of damage to the 99 truck. What a horrible, this past 8 races this has been for Ricky Craven. 0 top 10s in the last 8 races for Ricky Craven. And you can see the damage on that Super Chips truck. Look at Bobby Hamilton, a tremendous amount of damage. He may be going right straight behind the wall.
Bobby Hamilton takes that Bailey's Dodge behind the wall. Ricky Craven probably will do the same.
Why does it seem to snowball on you, Phil? You know, you have a couple of bad races and all of a sudden you look up, you're 8, 10 races in, you hadn't had a top 10 and things just aren't going right.
When you don't want to come to Bristol, have a good race either, because this is so difficult. I'm sure we could probably see some replays of this, but Ricky Craven may have certainly been a victim here, and unfortunately he and Bobby Hamilton are going to be the worst the benefactors of this thing.
And the numbers you were talking about, Ricky Craven, he had 7 top 10 finishes in his first 8 races of this season, but his best finish in the last 8 races has been 13th.
Ugh, man, that breaks your heart. You get off to a good start, and you think this is going to be a good year for me, and then all of a sudden it turns around. Let's see what happens, Phil.
There's a 59 of Robert Presley. See, there's the 08. See what happens when we get down to the corner. The 59 and the 08 make some contact. Here comes Bobby right into the back of the 99 of Ricky Craven. Rick Crawford gets a pretty good piece of that with a circle bar forward.
You just got to know that Bobby Hamilton had no idea what was going on up ahead. The spotter sees it. By the time the spotter pushes his button and says, Bobby, we've got to spin, Bobby's in the middle of it.
He's already halfway through the truck of Ricky Craven.
I don't want to throw Bobby under the bus here, but this is a situation where the truck right in front of him is slowing down. He's got to be able to be aware of that, doesn't he?
No. He had enough of a gap behind him. He had no idea what was happening, and it happens. Remember at the opening of the show, I said it multiplied by 10. That's how quickly it's just out of control how quickly things develop, and Bobby had no idea what was going on.
And the thing about where that happened was Bobby Hamilton had already gotten the corner as hard as he could get in the corner. It's not easy to just stop these things on a dime.
Terminal damage for Bobby Hamilton. He's out of the truck at Bristol. Welcome back to the O'Reilly 200 presented by Valvoline. Bristol Motor Speedway. A great crowd on hand. A beautiful evening for racing. Tomorrow night on Speed Channel at 7, check out NASCAR Nation. Live beyond the fast lane. Then at 7:30, it's back to the track and into the action with NASCAR Beyond the Wheel. At 8, catch American Muscle Car. Later at 8:30, you won't want to miss Car Crazy. And at 9, it's Barrett Jackson, the auction. That's all tomorrow night beginning at 7 only on Speed Channel. Fifth caution has already come out. Our defending champion Bobby Hamilton walked back to the hauler as his crew is doing a lot of work to that Dodge. Was involved in the most recent crash. Bobby Hamilton, Manful Cook, Terry Cook. We thought he might have the best chance for Ford tonight. Rick Crawford also in a Ford, and Ricky Craven.
So 3 Fords out of those 5 trucks involved.
A lot of damage on the Super Chips 99. Wendy?
If you look at the tire from that just came off the 5 truck, there are some small blisters on this tire. They said the camber was okay. Jeff Hensley said the camber's okay, but the right front tire looks like that it had a slight blister on it. He told Mike Skinner to take it easy. Now, Mike Skinner did comment that his truck is a lot tighter, and they hope they did not over-adjust his truck. It's been snug from the middle off on those few green laps. Jeff Hensley reminded him we can go the rest of the way, so let's make it work for us.
And that could be the strategy as the green flag flies. Mike Skinner back out in front. He has relinquished that spot only once to Chad Chapman for 10 laps. Skinner's been out front 77 laps so far in this race.
Well, it worries me a little bit that we saw some blisters on that tire with 70 laps, and that counts caution laps too. He pitted on lap 7. He's got 130 laps to run in this race, so I think that means we'll see Mike Skinner back on pit road.
Well, Phil, regardless of what Jeff said, that his camber was all right, the inside edge of the right front tire was blistered. That means they have a lot of camber in that right front tire, forcing the inside of that tire into the road. Now that can cause you a problem. Even though the tire is perfect, you put too much camber into it, you know, the thing will wear the tire out.
Wendy, what else is going on with that tire?
Phil, you were saying about how many green flag laps were on those tires. It was exactly 52 laps on the 5 truck with green flag laps. They came in on lap 69, and Mike Skinner is concerned. He said, if we get a chance and I can come down pit road, please put some tires on this thing.
Now, also, we see a lot of the drivers actually going almost on the apron with the left side tires. Is that a good line to run around here, preferred line?
It's the best line. If your truck will work down there on the apron, then it's like it just makes the truck turn, Rick. It just propels it to the left. And so if your truck's working right, you want to let off early, get the thing down to the apron basically on the entry. You'll slide up a little bit in the center, right back to the apron on the exit.
Our defending champion Bobby Hamilton has actually been caught up by another Bob. Bob, what's going on with Bobby?
Yeah, Bobby Hamilton already in plain clothes. Bobby, what happened out there?
I don't know. 2 or 3 of them just wrecked in front of me in turn 3 of the fishing pond and just didn't have anywhere to go. Great racetrack. The race fans have a good time here, and I'm telling you what, when they spin out here, you can just call it quits.
Bobby and I were just talking. It's survival of the fittest tonight. He doesn't survive.
Is he more or less saying I'm out of the championship race right now by putting the street clothes on and heading into the hauler?
Well, hopefully they can rejuvenate his attitude toward the truck. You know, they'll look at it and say, we can fix it, Bob, and he'll go out there and race. He's still a championship contender. But, you know, once you start to see the writing on the wall, if you can't fix it, you can't fix it, no matter what your attitude is.
There goes Mike Wallace getting by Tim Fito, and we're hearing that there's some severe damage to that 04 of Bobby Hamilton.
He drove right in the back of the 99, that was for sure. Probably been it up to where they can't fix it.
There's Matt Craftsman. He's got a 6th and a 3rd here in the 2 races he's run at Bristol. He figured this place out pretty quick.
Brad Keselowski following behind him, wanting to know how he runs so well around this track.
There's Rick Crawford trying to lap by Tim Fito out of the 65 truck.
It's kind of interesting right now, Phil. We don't really see anybody holding anyone up at this moment in the race. Whoa.
Maybe Timothy Peters thought that somebody was holding him up.
That was crazy. But right now, it looks like people have got some pretty good spacing, just logging some laps halfway through the event right now, and really seeing a clear-cut a cat that's better than the rest. And Skinner, he's driven away from the front of the field again.
You know, Chad Chapman, he's on the exact same tires that he started this race on. He's not running quite as fast as Mike Skinner, but he's staying within about 1/10 of a second. He's got a great truck here. And now we heard Mike Skinner say he wants to come down pit road and get more tires because he's worried about that right front tire. I think Chad Chapman will follow him down pit road and have good track position.
But guys, in this situation, Mike Skinner clearly the class of the field right now. Jeff Hensley's crew chief said, hey, take it easy. We can go the rest of the way. It doesn't look like Mike Skinner is taking any of that advice right now.
Well, Mike Skinner doesn't understand what he means. When they tell Mike Skinner to take it easy, they might as well be speaking Chinese to him, because he is on the gas. That's his style. That's what he wants to do, and he doesn't know what that tire looked like, and so he's going to keep hammering it.
Ray, what's going on with Chad?
Well, I thought they were going to come down pit road there between 70 and 80. That was their original plan when I talked to Tony Furr earlier today. But Chad came on the radio and he said, look, I don't want to lose this track position right now. I'd rather trade it for fresh tires with about 80 or 70 to go. He said, I believe even with 70 laps to go, fresh tires are going to make a difference and we can work our way back up. So they chose not to pit on
on the last 2 cautions. They're hoping we see a yellow here in the next 20 laps.
Let me tell you, the only flaw in that thinking, Phil, is right now he's running second, keeping pace with Skinner, who's on new tires. That means that if he comes to pit road for tires and a lot of other trucks stay out, he will not have enough tire to drive back around them. Giving up track position here at Bristol is a huge mistake, and I don't believe he can overcome going to the back late in the show.
I totally agree with you, because it's so difficult to pass here. Even a lap truck is very difficult to negotiate your way by, and that's why we see so many incidents involving lap trucks, because if they, there's only so much room around this racetrack, as you see Mike Skinner lap around the 22 of Bill Lester, and so many times you see trucks trying to lap trucks, making a little bit of contact, it spins a lap truck out, and sometimes you get caught up in your own mess.
We've passed the halfway point. Mike Skinner out in front of this field, looking to put on another dominant performance. Will this be the race that Mike Skinner can claim the top spot? Well, Bristol Motor Speedway is a tough one to tame. So far, Mike Skinner's been able to do it, where others have not. We'll see if bumping continues at Bristol. Let's take a closer look at the Premier Division of NASCAR in our Nextel Cup update. We look at the top 10 in the point standings. These are the ones locked into the chase for the championship, which is only 3 races away. Jamie McMurray currently holding on to that 10th spot, and he is 566 points out of the top spot. Now, the ones who are really wanting to make it into the chase are the ones 11th through 15th, and we see how far they are out of the chase right now. That's behind the 10th, so only 51 points for Dale Jarrett.
That's right, and actually right now, Tony Stewart and Jimmy Johnson are really the only 2 drivers that have clinched a spot in the chase. Anything else is up for grabs.
Well, NASCAR this morning, a special edition tomorrow, or Saturday at 5:30 p.m. That's from Thunder Valley, Bristol Motor Speedway, talking about the big race here at Bristol.
How fun is the chase, man? These guys, Jamie McMurray's 566 points out of the lead. And after Richmond, if he's able to hang in there and finish 10th in the points, he'll be 40 or 50 out, that's all.
Wendy, let's start off a top 10 drop back. What's going on with Mike Skinner?
Mike Skinner's been out front most of the night. You'll remember he had a right front blistered tire, and that's what's worrying the 5 team as Ted Musgrave and David Sargent get him. But according to Jeff Hensley, he does not want to come down pit road, right?
Well, it may have been a big mistake for the number 60 and Chad Chapman. These guys shaking their heads a little bit now. Now that we've got to lap 123 and we're still under green, they're kind of questioning whether they made the right call. Bob?
Todd Bodine keeps on reminding his crew on the radio, track position is key here at Bristol. I've done this twice before, having won 2 Busch Series races here. The truck is just a little bit loose right now, just behind Todd Bodine. Jack Spring not happy with this 16 truck anymore. They tried to loosen it up on the last stop, but loosened it just a little too much, right?
Hey, let's talk about Johnny Benson, Bob. He was sliding around real bad at the beginning of this race, so they came in, made right side air pressure adjustments, went down on the track bar to try to tighten him up just a little bit. How about the 46, Wendy?
Dennis Setzer was also sliding up in the center. They came in lap 69, 2.5 rounds of wedge in, and down on the air pressure. Eric Phillips, his crew chief, said, remember, man, breathe. Bob?
I'm telling you, boys and girls, the truck to watch here tonight is Teddy Musgrave. He has moved from the 22nd position all the way up to 7th. The truck just a skosh too loose right now, but he is very happy with that Mopar Dodge. Wendy?
We see Kyle Busch in the 15 truck tonight, and he will be in that vehicle the remainder of the year, minus Las Vegas. They came in on the last caution. He was a little loosened and snug on. They went down on the track bar, but Kyle Busch said, if we get another caution, let's come back in. I want to go back up on the track bar.
Wendy, earlier today, Ron Hornaday had a real bad vibration, so they changed the drive shaft in that Goodwrench Chevrolet, and he said it made it much better. But right now he's complaining of being just a little bit tight coming off of the corners. So they're going to make an air pressure adjustment if Hornaday pits again, but right now they're trying to decide if they even need to do that. Now for Jimmy Spencer in the number 2, it is one of those racetracks that he loves. But earlier today he said trying to get a handle on this place is so tough because it's just a Bristol thing. Sometimes you feel like the truck's too low and it has no bite. But so far Spencer's hanging in there in 10th place. Rick?
There's David Starr, the Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet. He had a 7th place finish here last year. His best of 3 starts here at Bristol.
So that is your top 11. Mike Skinner about to put another truck, another lap down. That Toyota Tundra looking to find victory lane for the first time for Mike Skinner.
Blonde hair and some cigarettes.
Green flag continuing to stay out. Mike Skinner putting a lot of distance between himself and Chad Chaffin now. Has Chad Chaffin put himself in a bad position?
Well, he's not losing any ground to Skinner, and you know what that tells me, Rick? If you haven't pitted, you're in trouble.
That's a good news, bad news thing. The good news is he's able to keep pace with Mike Skinner. The bad news is he's going to have to pit.
Well, Todd Bodine stayed out under the last caution, but he had pitted earlier. Bob, what's going on with Todd?
Rick pitted on lap 43, and a lot of discussion here in the 30 camp right now. I just spoke to crew chief Mike Hillman. He told me, I think we're going to try to go the rest of the way. Track position, as Todd told us, very, very important here. So they, right now, are not planning to pit. What do you think about that?
Bob, I think that's a great strategy. Michael and I were talking during the break, and you should be able to run at least 160 laps here on fuel. He's had a few caution laps involved there. I think he can do it.
But does he have anything for Mike Skinner?
Well, the interesting question is, what's going to happen to that right front tire of Mike Skinner's? You know, we saw it blister in just 50-some laps of green flag action. Now he's well past 100. That thing might give away on him at any moment.
Could have been just that tire, though. I mean, is that a possibility, or do you think that's going to happen with any set he puts on?
I think it's I bet you Jeff Hensley and them are wondering the same thing. Was it the tire? Was it the track? Is it my truck? Is it going to happen again? Those guys are tore up right now. The only guy that I don't think is happy with where he's at is Chaffin, because he has to pit again. And listen, Rick, he's sitting there running second, keeping pace with Skinner on old tires. You know what that means, Phil? New tires aren't going to help him that much. If everyone else stays out and he loses a lot of track position, he won't be able to drive back through the field.
He'll be lucky to get back to the top 10 if everybody stays out.
But, you know, you don't see this long of green flag racing normally at Bristol. These trucks are putting a lot of green flag laps on the board right now, wearing their tires out. It'll be interesting to see if the caution flag flies in the next 5 or 10 laps. How many people do decide to pit? A lot of guys might.
Well, we talked about the blistering of the tire. A lot of that could have been camber, right?
Hey, Rick, I've been trying to figure out whether we were going to get a new rule here in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Last week at Michigan, they instituted a new rule for the Nextel Cup Series that you cannot run any more than 8 degrees of camber on the left front. Well, I asked Series Director Wayne Otten earlier today if we were going to get a camber rule for the Craftsman trucks. He said, no, we run very different vehicles and different setups here. So as we plan right now, we're going to let the teams make all the decisions they want to as to how much camber they want to put into these trucks.
See, that's slightly different because it was the right front tire on Mike Skinner. In the Nextel Cup Series, they did not institute a rule for the right side tires because that's almost self-governing. That's really a crutch. You really want to lean on that camber to make these trucks turn, or a Nextel Cup or a Busch car. They probably have a little bit too much camber, a little too short of an upper control arm, which allows the camber to really change and gain in the corner. And that's probably the situation they have right now.
And that'll make a truck turn. And at Bristol, that's what you want. But there's a price you pay for it if you go too far. Maybe they've gone too far. Maybe it was just a situation where with the other rubber on the track that had been there from the race that was prior to the Craftsman Truck Series event tonight, it just wore it a little bit differently. And now that the Goodyear tires have put rubber all over the track, they won't see that problem again. But I know one thing, they don't know the answer to that. They're trying to figure it out right now down there in that pit.
Inside of 45 laps to go, when Ray was talking about camber, Todd Bodine was able to get by the number 60 of Chad Chaffin. So it's Mike Skinner out in front of Todd Bodine now. We'll see if Todd Bodine can reel in Mike Skinner as we're riding along with Dennis Setzer. And again, he is our points leader, currently in 6th position. Friday on Speed Channel, get your NASCAR weekend started with Trackside. Now that the silly season is officially on, who better than the Trackside crew to bring you up to date on who's in and who's out. Trackside live from Bristol Friday at 10, only on Speed Channel. Skinner holding on to the top spot. Todd Bodine now in second. Mike Skinner came back to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series full-time in 2004. Well, it hasn't been that good. Kansas, problems. Milwaukee, problems. He's been leading races, looking as though he's going to capture that 17th career win. But problems have continued, not only in 2004, but also in 2005. Most recently, Nashville. That race looked as though Mike Skinner was going to be able to claim the top spot. Problems, Mike Skinner relinquished all the way back to a not so good finish. So can tonight be the win for Mike Skinner that he's been looking for since he came back into the Truck Series? We're going to find out. Almost 30 laps remaining in this one. It's been a long time since Mike Skinner's found victory lane. 53 races since his last win in this series.
Chad Chaffin has just about run his tires off. He is really backing up now. He's already back to the 10th position. Ray, what's going on down there?
Chad Chaffin believes he has a flat right front tire, so they're going to put right sides on it and gas here. They were going to try to roll the dice and go all the way, but Chaffin began to fall backwards. He got knocked to the high side. Sprague went by him in a number of different trucks, so all of a sudden he said, we got to pit. Feels like it might be a flat right front tire for the Weiler Toyota. Chaffin will be on pit road here. The trucks will go by. Now he only has to come down half of pit road, but nevertheless he's still going to lose at least a lap, if not two.
I'd say more than likely he just wore out that right front tire. He ran almost 170 laps with some caution laps sprinkled in. That's a lot of laps on the tire here, isn't it?
Yeah, but he's only going to lose one lap, I believe, Phil. And depending on depending on how this deal plays out, he might still have a shot to get back in the thick of things with the free pass, or if we see other guys begin to pit.
Currently, there's 18 trucks that are on the lead lap. The 18th position being held by Brad Keselowski right now. He's almost a lap down to Mike Skinner.
We've got some terrific traffic in front of Mike Skinner. Look at the 30 of Ty Bodine. He was about a second half behind just a couple laps ago. Mike Skinner got hung up behind these lap trucks. Ty Bodine closed it within about 5 truck lengths.
This thing's going to get interesting before it gets over, because as you run these tires off, trucks that have different camber in the front end will wear the tires differently, Phil. So you might see a truck that's been dominant like Skinner's all of a sudden start to go away, like we saw Chad Chaffin's do late in that run. You don't know what's going to happen when you have a long green flag run. These guys have not run anywhere near this long in practice.
Well, let's take a look at what's going on with Jack Sprague, Bob.
Jack Sprague pitted the same time as Mike Skinner, came out right behind him, but he has been battling with that truck all night long. It's gone from a push condition to a loose. Now it's very tight once again. Jack says, not talking on the radio anymore, I need to concentrate. Those boys in front of me might get into traffic. I might be able to catch them.
Johnny Benson is right behind. There's Kyle Busch underneath Setzer.
Comes Ted Musgrave. There's the first and second points man right there. That's about an 8 or 10 point swing right there if Ted Musgrave is able to get by Dennis Setzer.
What's going on with the 46, Wendy?
Dennis Setzer has been real tight in the center. You notice these trucks have been going through a lot of lap traffic. His spotter, Doug Sigmund's just been reminding him, you need to focus really hard getting through this traffic, Dennis. So Dennis obviously lost some spots right there.
And is this a position where Dennis Setzer is now running defensively because he's got such a big lead in the point standing?
That's a great question, Rick. And I think everybody that has the type of lead or the position that Dennis has in the points has to come to Bristol and almost race that way. You know, that'll get you in trouble sometimes, but there's other times at Bristol where you can kind of be conservative, let a guy go here and there, knowing that you've got a big point lead that you're just basically trying to protect at this crazy place. You know, he's going to go somewhere during the course of this season as it winds down where he's going to say, I'm going to win this race. Here, he's just trying to survive.
Well, you mentioned it at the beginning of the show, Phil. A survival technique for Dennis Setzer. Mike Skinner looking for that win, though, here at Bristol. The O'Reilly 200 presented by Valvoline. We are taking a look at the right side of the 46 of Dennis Setzer. It is flat, meaning he has had contact with the wall.
We talked about Dennis Setzer trying to survive this race. Watch him go down in turn number 1.
Right there, the right front tire goes down.
Right front tire went down. You see him lock the brakes up to try to stop that truck from hitting the wall. Unfortunately, makes some pretty hard contact. Let's see if we can take another look at it.
Now you
Look
see,
at top of your screen, middle of your screen there. He makes some pretty hard contact with the outside wall. He's not going to be able to run competitively. At the very least, he's going to have to make a pit stop, and he's going to go to the back of the lead lap trucks if he can stay on the lead lap.
listen to this, Phil. You've heard this before. Oh.
Wow. And that's how quick it happens, too.
Clear low, clear low.
And you try to hit the brakes like Dennis did, and that makes the truck go even harder into the outside wall.
And you know, Phil, I made that sound when you hear that, you go, oh no, not now, not here at Bristol, right in the middle of the turn. He was trying to survive tonight, and this is a little bit unfair, Phil. We had a long green flag run. That's why he blew the tire. Wendy, what are they saying?
Our points leader is going to lose points again tonight. Definitely a right front flat on the 46 truck as that right front tire goes down pit road. Heavy damage on the 46 truck. They're going to try and pull that fender out and salvage a good finish as Marty Houston gives him the thumbs up and Dennis Setzer is away.
Wow.
And so a right front tire blowing on the 46 of Dennis Setzer. He was trying to play defensive, but when something like this happens, there's nothing you can do. Into the wall for our points leader. Good points night, possibly for Ted Musgrave. We'll be back with more from Bristol. Short track racing in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Everyone excited to get underway from Bristol Motor Speedway. Early on, lap 8, the 07. Chris Wimmer gets into the inside wall all alone.
Lap number 19, the 22 of Bill Lester gets turned around by the 18 of Chase Montgomery. Brendan Gaughan, the 77, gets the worst of that.
That's typical Bristol, Phil. Just chain reaction crashes.
39, we see the 17 of David Ruderman having to come in. Can't steer that truck. He spent a lot of laps behind the wall.
Lap 43, there's a 08 right there getting turned around. Makes contact with the 52. The 75 hits him, turns them all the way around. Bill Manford.
Here's Deborah Renshaw having troubles negotiating around the turn. Gets into the side of Ricky Craven, spins around, and she will bring out the 4th caution of the night.
Lap 82, this is the big one we had. There's Terry Cook, the 10. The 04 of Bobby Hampton runs in the back of Ricky Craven, just about ruins their night.
3 Fords involved in that one. Then most recently, moments ago, this was Dennis Setzer blowing a right front tire into the wall hard. So flat side's the right side, but he stays on the lead lap. So could have been worse for Dennis Setzer. Great crowd on hand at Bristol Motor Speedway. Sunday night on Speed, step into the tunnel, wind tunnel with Dave Despain. Next up, Cup driver Ken Schrader jumps into the co-host hot seat. Plus, catch a featured interview with the chase for the Cup contender, Jimmy Johnson. On this wind tunnel with Dave Despain and co-host Ken Schrader, live Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Speed Channel.
We're getting a report that Robert Presley, the 49, missed the commitment line, and he will have to go to the tail end of this longest line.
We remain under caution. It is the 6th caution of the night. It came out for our points leader, Dennis Setzer. We'll be back for Green Flag Racing after this. Just back underway with the O'Reilly 200 presented by Valvoline on Speed Channel. Mike Skinner out in front, had a great restart in front of Todd Bodine. He is just 4 laps away from his first win since coming back to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
What's going to happen with that right front tire? We saw Setzer lose a right front tire just a bit ago. He's on the same schedule Skinner's on. Will that thing hold up to the end?
They were able to pull it off during that caution.
3 to go, 3 to go.
You hear him, 3 to go for Mike Skinner.
Pressure, Mike, no pressure.
Got 6 truck length lead right now over Todd Bodine. No pressure.
Mike Skinner's just cutting through the field on those 4 tires that crew decided to put on that truck. He's driving around the outside of Schrader right now for a top 10 spot. He is on the roll.
Todd Bodine holding on to second. Jack Sprague back here in the battle. It's Todd Bodine and Jack Sprague battling for the 2nd spot as Mike Skinner comes by the flag stand. 1 lap of racing to go. Mike Skinner has not visited victory lane in quite a few years. As he comes through 3 and 4, the Toyota Tundra driven by Mike Skinner is going to see the checkered flag and win in Bristol.
You guys are the best. You guys deserve so much more than this. Doggone it, you deserve more than this.
said as he came off turn 4, I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. It's been a long time for Mike Skinner. Celebration will be very extensive. I can just imagine as Mike Skinner claims that first win. Again, he claimed 16 wins in the first 2 seasons of this series, but it's been a long time since he has been able to visit victory lane.
Just a well-deserved victory. Mike said it the best. You know, y'all deserve more than this being our first win. We've done so much better than this, but doggone, it's good to see that team that is so deserving get to victory lane.
Big win for Jeff Hensley and all his crew. Bob, what's going on down there? They're celebrating?
They are really celebrating down here in the 5-pit. Jeff Hensley talking to Mike Skinner on the radio. How about it, your first victory of the year?
Man, this is great. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, I want to thank, first of all, I want to thank Bill Davis for giving me this opportunity. And it's the first win I've had in 12 years.
So much has gone wrong for you and this team this year. Were you biting your nails at the end of that race?
Yeah, I mean, we've run really well. We should have won 3 or 4 races this year. And I mean, people at Toyota, I mean, it's unbelievable the support we get, and kind of getting depressing after we couldn't win there for a while. But I knew we could. We just need to get the brakes, and we did everything right tonight. And good stops. Mike saved a little bit there. I told him, I said, you know, this thing might go rest of the way green, and it almost did. And we've saved some and had it when it counted. So I want to thank Mike. He did a heck of a job. And, you know, I can't say how much. For everybody, Bill Davis, all the guys back in the shop, you do a heck of a job. And Lord have mercy.
Go celebrate with your boys at victory lane.
Say hello to my dad at home. I mean, this is big. This is really big.
Get the emotion down here in the 5-pit.
Mike Skinner doing a burnout for this great crowd on hand at Bristol Motor Speedway. It's been a long time since Mike Skinner found victory lane. It was back in 1996 at Bakersfield, the last time Mike Skinner won a race in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. We'll be back to victory lane after this. Toyota Spotlight lets us take a closer look at where tonight's field of Toyota Tundras finished. And it was Mike Skinner claiming the top spot. 2 Toyota Tundras up in front.
Michael talked about the last short track race. No Toyotas in the top 10. They turned her around.
Mike Skinner makes his way into victory lane. And we'll go down to Bob Dillner. He's caught up with Jack Sprague.
That's right. He's on the podium here. A 3rd place finish for Jack Sprague in a pretty darn good battle with Tom Bodine at the end of the race.
It was a good night. I mean, this has just been a horrible year for me all the way around. And the Chevy Truck Silverado was good, just a little tight across center. On the long runs, it was really good. I could run them back down. And we had one long run there, but I got under Todd there on the last lap, and I guess I'd have cut him off too. But normally I would have taken him out because I owe him anyway. But, man, I've been having such bad luck. I needed a good, solid finish. And next week, if he does again, I'll take him out, though.
Well, Ray, I tell you what, when Mike Hillman walked by here, he said, hey, I could have taken your driver out. Maybe should have. What do you think?
I don't know. Let's check in with the Onion. 32nd to second. Pretty good run today, huh?
Yeah, we'll take it. Yeah, we knew we had a decent truck in practice, and we never got to make a qualifying run. But, you know, this Toyota Tundra was awesome. Great pit call. Mike Jr. made a great call. We decided to come in early and take a gamble, get in front of everybody, and it paid off. Our truck was good enough to do it. And, you know, I got to thank the Germain brothers. Bob, Rick, and Steve have given me a great team to race for. And Toyota TRD, Cytomax, great drink, got me through the night with all the energy I needed. Bosch, Valvoline, got to say hi to Mom and Ashlyn. And a special hello to Big Guy. Had a motorcycle wreck. I hope you're feeling better, buddy.
Hey, we got to go because they're celebrating another Toyota over there in victory lane. Let's find out if Wendy's caught up.
It was 1996, the last time this man has graced victory lane. Mike Skinner, rightfully so, climbs on top of his truck. 53 races, and as Ray Dunlap would say, 3,234 days since Mike Skinner's been in victory lane, as his wife Angie gives him a big hug. Mesa Marin was his last win in 1996. Bill Davis here for this moment. Mike Skinner, what an amazing day. Ray Dunlap's been counting the days for 9 years now.
That darn Ray, he's been pissing me off doing that. This race team's probably deserved 5 or 6 of these things by now. We've been so close. I know how David felt last time, and You know, I told it that 100 and some odd laps to go. They said, we can make it all the way. And I said, somebody slap Jeff. I'm not doing that. Last year we did that when we lost the race. But Little Tundra was awfully strong, man. What a motor in this thing. And that motor would spin them tires up straight away. It was awfully strong. I had to really put egg under it there at the end. But I knew if it stayed green, Todd was going to have a real good chance at us. And I knew if we got that caution right there, 10 to go, I felt like on the restarts we'd be hard to guard. But I just want to thank Toyota. Gosh darn it, they've stood behind me. This is their branded truck. It's a Tundra. It's awesome. If I was them, I'd have fired me by now.
Well, good thing they didn't, because you're in victory lane. Now, there were some problems with the right front tires going flat. Chad Chaffin, Dennis Setzer, and yours was blistering. How much did that scare you throughout the race?
Well, I kind of wish Jeff wouldn't have told me that, but fortunately, we got out of sequence on tires there, and Chad was on older tires. So I just was riding. I really got to save it a lot. I got to save the truck a lot in the middle of the race and just ride. And I slowed it down 3 or 4 tenths there and just rode a lot. And right there at the end, I was sure glad I slowed it down earlier so it had enough tire to make it.
Now, it was 1996, the last time you were in victory lane in the Truck Series. What are you going to do to celebrate?
I can't tell you, but all my fans probably know what I'm going to do tonight. We're probably going to have a heck of a party, and can't say enough. I want to thank Valvoline, XM, everybody on this truck, Toyota. Goodyear had an awesome tire tonight. I cuss them when they do bad, and I praise them when they do good. They had an awesome piece tonight. And thank you, Wendy.
Well, thank you. I'm sure there's going to be a big party at Bill Davis Racing as Mike Skinner celebrates his 17th victory in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
Well, tonight's Mobil 1 move of the race is brought to you by the new Mobil 1 Extended Performance official motor oil of NASCAR. Here's Chad Chaffin, who was out in front only 10 laps of this race. That means an extremely dominant performance by Mike Skinner. He was the only other truck to be out front. Mike Skinner, the third on the list of all-time wins at 17 now, behind just Ron Hornaday, Jack Sprague. We'll come back to Bristol after this. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Speed Channel is presented to you in part by Craftsman, celebrating 10 years tough of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. By Dodge, you can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. And by High Endurance Oils from Mobil, official lubricants of NASCAR. Kyle Busch finished 5th in this race. He's standing by with Bob Dillner.
That's right, and I figure we already had Grumpy Jack Sprague and the Onion, Todd Bodine, so how about the Shrub? Kyle, a catbird seat for those boys in front of you on that last lap.
Yeah, it was. I was like, come on, Jack, get him. Oh, don't wreck yourself, you know, but it's cool. That's pretty cool right up there, seeing Mike Skinner win again. You know, it's been a while for him, but really want to thank Billy Blue Motorsports and Ditech.com for jumping on board with us again, and Hendrick Motorsports for the support they give me. It's a blast to come out here and run these truck races. When you run truck and bush, you can apply what you learn on both of those to the Cup cars. So I'm looking forward to the Cup race here Saturday night. It's going to be a lot of fun, going to be a lot of laps, so hopefully I can hang on to it.
All right, so you coming back and playing with these truck boys again?
Oh, yeah, we're in for the rest of the year except Las Vegas, and I'm going to try to get my buddy David Gilliland in it and see if he can't shoot it around Las Vegas. He's been there a couple times, so he should know what it's about.
4 races each year, 4 top 5 finishes for Kyle Busch, right?
And Bob, a couple of top 5 finishes for Bill Davis Racing tonight. That includes Johnny Benson, who was 4th. You and I were talking about right front tires, and you just said to the tire guy, go check it out, right?
Yeah, it was starting to vibrate there at the end just a little bit, but man, it's a great job. You know, Rick Run and all the guys on Toyota Certified Used Vehicles, Tundra, just did a tremendous job. Too loose at the beginning of the race there, so I was like, man, I hope this don't go green the whole way. And tighten up a little bit, and it was still a little free, but you know, better than shoving the nose. So real happy with that. Made it through it. I don't think we got a scratch on it. Good to go.
4 second-place finishes in your career and a 4th tonight. How much more is it going to take to get the 23 to victory lane?
I don't know. I mean, I think we can get it done this year. We're just me and Rick are just starting to communicate decent right now, trying to get that program going good. Congratulations to Mike Skinner and Bill Davis winning that race. That was pretty cool. And for us finishing 4th, man, it was a great day for us. We're just quick enough, but the other guys in front of us are just as fast, so I couldn't do anything.
Okay, good luck, Johnny Benson. We have 12 different winners this year, guys, and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't add this guy's name to the list soon. Rick?
Well, Mike Skinner claiming the O'Reilly 200, presented by Valvoline Max Life on Speed Channel tonight. And celebrating, it's been as Wendy and Ray have both documented over the years, over 3,000 days since Mike Skinner won his last race, but he claims career win number 17 tonight at Bristol Motor Speedway. Short track racing, Craftsman Truck Series. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is presented by Craftsman. Fans beginning to file out of this really beautiful facility. It holds 151,000 seats. There's another 9,000 seats in the suites. We take a look at the unofficial results for the NCTS 200 at Bristol. Mike Skinner again claiming victory number 17 for his career.
2 top 10s for the Ultra Motorsports guys, Musgrave in 6th and Spencer in 7th.
Look at the experience in that top 10, Phil. You got guys in there been racing here for a long time, and it just proves that it's really valuable to know what you're doing when you come to Bristol.
Mike Bliss gets an 11th place finish in his first run in the 06 truck. Matt Crafton pitted late for tires, got back to 12th.
Dennis Setzer having that problem with the right front tire. Got into the wall, but was able to stay on the lead lap.
See, David Ruderman came in this race 5th in points, all the way back in 29th position.
Bobby Hamilton getting caught up in an accident and was not able to finish this race. So let's take a look at how the points shake out now, as Dennis Setzer had problems. Ted Musgrave with a strong finish, finishing in 6th, was able to close the gap ever so slightly, but he's almost a race away now from Dennis Setzer. Currently standing by with our points leaders, Wendy Venturini.
Dennis Setzer came home 16th now 2 years in a row. This year it was because of the right front flat tire. How disappointing was that for you?
It was a tough day for our team Silverado. You know, we had a pretty decent run going there. We got a little tight there later in that run. Started pushing a little bit. Thought we was going to nurse it home to a top 10 easily right there, but unfortunate day for us.
Now, we were just saying, we want to talk to you, Dennis, and you said, why? I finished 16th. Obviously, we're looking at the big picture of points, and you lost 45 more points tonight to Ted Musgrave, but you got to keep digging at this point.
Oh, absolutely. It's been a tough couple weeks for us, we're just going to try to plug on right here. We've made a few changes in our team, and try to straighten those out and keep things rolling on here.
Dennis Setzer still our points leader, but he's lost 94 points to Ted Musgrave in the last 2 weeks.
And Wendy, Ted Musgrave very happy about gaining those points on Dennis Setzer. He came from 22nd up into the top 10, but truck kind of stalled there after a while, Ted.
Yeah, we got up to sixth place, I think is what it was, and then we just kind of burned our tires up because we had to run so fast through the corner to catch up. The thing won't accelerate up off the corner, and it's hard to pass people that way, and so we used it up pretty bad in the corner, and I just kind of stalled out, used my equipment up a little bit. But I think the biggest key was that pit stop. The guys cracked off a real good one and got me like 4 positions on the pit stop. So, it's a team effort, and we're never giving up. The Mopar team never gives up till the banquet starts, and Dennis had bad luck. If he was racing all day long, we would have been side by side, but that's the way racing was in the beginning. I had a lot of bad luck. Now, he had a little bit, so maybe we can make it exciting. Like I say, we always come down to Craftsman's Truck Series, comes down to the last race for the last lap, and it's always for the championship, and maybe we can do that again.
8 races to go, 142 markers behind is Musgrave, behind Dennis Setzer.
In his 96th race, Mike Skinner claims his 17th win. We'll continue with the celebration from Bristol. We return. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is presented by Craftsman. And Craftsman's always on the cutting edge of technology when it comes to tools. Tonight, we want to spotlight another important piece of equipment that Craftsman makes available to us, right?
Well, thank you, Rick. Today, whenever we come to Bristol, it's always pretty dark down here. Now, actually, Bristol does a good job of lighting this place up, but the teams always need to be able to see inside their trucks. So they use a Craftsman Endurable flashlight. Now, let me show you this. See how small the little LED light is on the inside of there? You can't imagine that this thing's going to make a lot of bright light, right? But watch this. When I turn it on, boy, we've got all kinds of light. And when you got to go inside the truck or look under the hood, this thing makes a lot of light for you. Actually, this little LED light makes more lumens than 10 regular LED lights. Now, here's the great thing. This thing's called Endurable, and it's stainless steel. It's got a nice grip, and they've got a Papa Bear, they've got a Mama Bear size, and a Baby Bear. So there's a different flashlight for every member of the crew and every member of your family.
Wonder how many lumens those other two have. Have you thought about that?
I don't know, Michael, but watch this. You can turn it on that way, and then you can turn it to a different size and a different. There's all kinds of cool things you can do with these things.
I learned so much from you, Ray. Thank you.
Excellent.
Ray gets to continue to play with the toys. Well, Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR.
Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway. Mike Wallace has attempted triple duty this weekend. To start it off, you come home in a top 10. Now, you were up to 5th in the beginning of the race, but you fell way back after that caution. What happened?
Well, unfortunately, I rolled down pit road and they jammed a socket in the impact, and that's cost us a bunch of positions. Then NASCAR penalized us and put us to the tail end of the longest line for using a third impact gun. So no speeding penalties, nothing like that. Just had an impact infraction and started in the back and was struggling there, and caution come out. They put 4 tires on it, lined up, I don't know, 16th or 17th with about 5 to go, and drove her up to 9th. So the Toyota Tundra was really fast. Thank Darrell Waltrip's team, Darrell Waltrip Motorsports, and all the guys there. They did a great job.
Mike Wallace comes home 9th for Darrell Waltrip Motorsports. Bob?
Hey, Wendy, Ray said at the top of the show, Ultra Motorsports only had 1 top 10 finish at Bristol coming into this race. Today, they have 2. Jimmy Spencer, the second truck in the top 10 for Ultra Motorsports. You satisfied with the 7th?
Not really, Bobby. You know, I love this racetrack. I mean, I know people say you're wacko by saying that, but it's true. And you know, the truck just didn't come up off the corner like it needed to, and we only made 1 pit stop. And I wish the race was a little bit longer. 250 laps would be a whole lot better than 200. But you know, I knew once the Toyotas got everything working, they were going to be pretty tough to beat. But to come out of here 7th with the Team ASE Dodge pork, man, did you have a pork sandwich today?
Yes, I did.
It was cool. But, you know, can't complain. I love Bristol, and I look forward to Richmond.
Hey, you can tell he's a TV guy now. He likes to talk for a long time, huh?
Well, good for Jimmy Spencer. It was a great finish for him at Bristol Motor Speedway, a place he's very familiar with. Our next race will come at Richmond International Raceway. That's September 8th at 8 p.m. for the Richmond 200, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, as we're closing in on the end of this season.
Another great short track. A lot more racing room there at Richmond, but always a terrific show on that 3/4-mile track up in Richmond.
And, you know, Phil, I talked tonight, action times 10 here at Bristol. It's pretty much the same thing at Richmond. They race all over the place at Richmond, but, man, it's fun to watch.
At least times 5, anyway.
Yeah, give me that at least.
Bristol, the final concrete track that the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series will run on in 2005, and it was typical short track racing. A lot of banging and bumping, but what was not so typical was seeing Mike Skinner into victory lane. It took him over 3,000 days to find it again, but he did it here at Bristol Motor Speedway. For Michael Walter, Phil Parsons, Wendy Venerini, Bob Dillner, and Ray Dunlap, I'm Rick Allen saying so long.